My mother sided with my cheating ex in court, forcing me to pay for another man's baby until DNA proved the truth. Now she's begging for forgiveness. Sup Reddit. My ex-wife cheated, got pregnant with another man's kid, and my own mother testified against me in court, forcing me to pay child support for a baby that wasn't mine. Took me months to prove it with DNA. Now mom's crying about family and wants back in my life. Here's how it all went down. I'm 32 male, a civil engineer working for a mid-sized firm in Ohio. Nothing flashy, just steady income, good benefits, and projects that keep me busy 50 to 60 hours a week. I design commercial buildings, handle structural calculations, manage contractor relationships, the kind of work where one decimal point error can cost millions or worse, cost lives. My routine was locked in. Gym at 5:30 a.m., work by 7:30, home by 6 if I'm lucky, maybe some gaming on weekends. Simple, predictable, exactly how I liked it. I'd been with my ex-wife Luna, 29 female, for 6 years total, 4 dating, 2 married. Met her through mutual friends at a cookout back when I was still a junior engineer. She worked as a dental hygienist, made decent money, seemed grounded at first. The first 2 years were genuinely good. Normal couple stuff, weekend trips, cooking dinner together, binge-watching shows. But year 3 is when the cracks started showing. Looking back, there were signs I completely missed. She'd get defensive when I asked about her day, constantly on her phone even during dinner. Started going to girls' nights 3 times a week. When it used to be monthly, I'd come home exhausted, and she'd barely look up from scrolling Instagram. When I tried to talk about my day, she'd give one-word responses while her fingers kept moving across her screen. But then her phone would buzz, and suddenly she'd be animated, smiling, typing rapidly. The real kicker? My mother loved Luna from day one. Like, genuinely thought she was the best thing that ever happened to me. Mom would constantly tell me how lucky I was, how I better not mess this up, how Luna was out of my league. Thanks for the confidence boost, Mom. My mother, Patricia, 58 female, has always been the type to see what she wants to see. She runs a small catering business out of her home, mostly doing birthday parties, small weddings, corporate lunches, makes decent money, but considers herself an expert on everything, especially relationships, despite being divorced twice herself. Her first marriage to my dad lasted 8 years before he left for someone else. Her second marriage lasted 3 years before she kicked the guy out for being lazy. Both times, according to her, the men were entirely at fault, never any self-reflection about her role in either failure. When Luna would complain about me working late or being too focused on my career, Mom would immediately take her side without even hearing my perspective. Your father was the same way, she'd say, like it was some kind of character flaw that ended her marriages instead of, her own issues. Work isn't everything. Luna needs attention too. A marriage requires effort from both people. I'd try to explain that engineering projects have deadlines, that people depend on accurate structural calculations, that my job requires focus and precision. When you're certifying that a building can safely hold hundreds of people, you can't half-ass it because your wife wants more quality time. But Mom would just shake her head like I was making excuses. Your career will still be there in 5 years. Luna might not be if you keep neglecting her. The worst part was how she'd invite Luna over for lunch. Without telling me, they'd sit in Mom's kitchen drinking coffee and talking about me like I was some project that needed fixing. I found out when Luna casually mentioned something my mother had said during one of these secret meetings. Your mom thinks you should take me on more dates. She says you're getting too comfortable and taking me for granted. When did Mom say that? At lunch last Tuesday. We've been having regular girl talks. She's been really supportive. Regular girl talks. My wife and my mother conspiring about how to fix me great. The marriage started crumbling about 8 months in. We'd have these circular arguments where Luna would claim I was emotionally unavailable and married to my job. I'd point out that someone had to pay the mortgage on the 3-bedroom house she wanted in the nice suburb, the car payments on the SUV she picked out without consulting me about the monthly cost, the vacation fund she kept dipping into for girls' trips that somehow cost $1,500 a pop. Every fight ended the same way. Luna would call my mother, and Mom would call me within the hour to lecture me about being a better husband. It was like having 2 wives, except one of them gave birth to me and should have had my back instead of forming an alliance with someone she'd known for 3 years. The lectures from Mom were always the same script. Marriage is work. You need to put in effort. She feels neglected. When's the last time you took her on a proper date? You're so focused on your career that you're losing sight of what's important. What she never acknowledged was that I was putting in effort. I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for the lifestyle Luna wanted. I was coming home exhausted and still trying to have conversations that she'd check out of to scroll through social media. I was planning vacations that she'd invite her friends on without asking me first. My best friend Kyle saw right through it. We'd known each other since college. Both engineering majors, both ended up in the same field, both grinders who understood that sometimes you have to sacrifice social time to meet deadlines. He'd moved to a competitor firm about 2 years ago, but we still met up weekly for gaming sessions. And to decompress, Kyle's different from most people. Doesn't sugarcoat things, doesn't play social games, just tells you straight up what he thinks. It's refreshing in a world where everyone's walking on eggshells trying not to offend anyone. One Tuesday night, we're playing some first-person shooter online, and I'm venting between matches about another fight Luna and I had over me, working late 3 nights that week. Dude, your mom's enabling her, Kyle said while sniping someone across the map. And Luna knows it. She's playing you both. She's just stressed about work. I defended her classic mistake. Right. So stressed she needs 3 girls' nights a week and can't answer when you call during them? So stressed she spends your money on trips but complains when you work late to earn that money? It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. She wants the benefits of having a hard-working husband without the part where the husband actually has to work hard. And your mom's backing her up because she wants grandbabies and doesn't care how miserable you are in the process. I didn't want to hear it. When you're in it, you make excuses. You explain away the red flags because accepting them means accepting you married the wrong person. Means accepting that you spent 6 years and thousands of dollars on someone who doesn't actually respect what you do or who you are. Nothing was ever enough, and every time I'd express frustration, she'd call mom, and I'd get another lecture about meeting her emotional needs. The bomb dropped on a random Tuesday in March. I came home from work around 6:30 p.m. after spending the day dealing with a contractor who'd poured a foundation 6 inches off from the blueprints. 6 inches doesn't sound like much until you realize the entire building's structural system was designed around specific load points that were now in the wrong location. Spent hours recalculating everything and arguing with the contractor about who was paying to fix it. Found Luna sitting on the couch with her hands folded, face serious. Not watching TV, not on her phone, just sitting there like she was waiting. She had that look, you know the one, where someone's about to say something they've been rehearsing in the mirror for hours. We need to talk. 5 words that never lead anywhere good. My stomach dropped immediately. She told me she was pregnant. 11 weeks along according to her first ultrasound appointment that she'd apparently gone to alone, scheduled during work hours, without mentioning it to me beforehand. For exactly 3 seconds, I felt this weird mixture of shock and excitement. We'd talked about kids eventually, though I wanted to wait another year or two to get more financially stable, and maybe pay down some of the credit card debt Luna had accumulated. But okay, life happens, we'll make it work. Then the math hit me like a freight train doing 80 miles an hour. 11 weeks ago, if you count back from mid-March, was right around New Year's. I was in Denver for a 3-week project stint. We were designing a hospital addition, and I was on-site daily managing the structural inspections, coordinating with the general contractor, dealing with subcontractors who kept trying to take shortcuts. The project was massive, a 4-story medical wing that had to meet strict seismic codes and healthcare facility requirements. I was there from December 28th through January 18th, living in a hotel near the site, working 12-hour days including weekends because the client had an aggressive timeline. I was in Denver for 3 weeks right in that window. We haven't really, when would that have even happened? That's when her face changed. The practiced calm cracked into something defensive and almost aggressive. Her whole body language shifted. Shoulders went back, jaw set, eyes narrowed. Are you seriously questioning me right now? I'm telling you I'm pregnant with our baby, and you're doing math instead of being happy? Yeah, Luna, I am, because the math doesn't work. I was gone for 3 weeks. I came home for 1 weekend, where we didn't have sex because you were angry at me the entire time. So when exactly did this happen? Conception dates aren't exact. The doctor said it could be off by a week or two. A week or two doesn't fix this. Even if we're off by 2 weeks, that still puts conception during a time when I was in another state. She stood up, face flushing red. This is exactly why we have problems. You're so cold and analytical about everything. I'm pregnant and scared, and all you care about is your stupid calculations. Who is he? She froze like I just slapped her. What? Who is the father, Luna? That's when the waterworks started. Full-on sobbing, saying I was being cruel. How could I accuse her of cheating? This was supposed to be the most important moment of our lives, and I was ruining it with paranoid conspiracy theories. But she never actually denied it. Not once did she say, I didn't cheat on you. She just cried and accused me of being mean for asking the question. I grabbed my keys off the counter. I'm going to Kyle's. We'll talk about this when you're ready to be honest. Don't you dare walk away from me right now. But I did. Because staying in that house meant saying things I couldn't take back, and I needed space to think without her tears and deflections clouding everything. I grabbed my keys and drove to Kyle's apartment. Sat in his living room and just stared at the wall while he processed what I told him. His apartment was typical bachelor pad, gaming setup, minimal furniture but clean and organized. Guy understood priorities. Kyle listened without interrupting while I laid out the timeline, the dates, the math that didn't add up. When I finished, he was quiet for a minute. You need a paternity test, he said immediately, voice firm. She'll never agree to that. Doesn't matter. Once the kid's born, you can request one through the courts if you're paying child support. But dude, you need a lawyer. Like, yesterday, seriously. He got up and grabbed his laptop, started pulling up family law attorneys in the area. My cousin went through something similar. His ex claimed her kid was his. Turned out it wasn't. Cost him 6 months of support payments before he could prove it. Ohio law is messed up. They assume the husband is the father, unless you can prove otherwise. That's insane. That's Ohio. Listen, I know a guy, well, my cousin knows a guy, attorney who specializes in this stuff. Seen it all. Let me get you his number. We spent the next 2 hours researching family law in Ohio. The more I read, the more panicked I got. Apparently, if you're married when a baby is born, you're automatically listed as the father unless you challenge it immediately. And challenging it requires legal action, DNA tests, court appearances, the whole nightmare. Kyle ordered pizza while we researched. Around midnight, he looked at me seriously. You need to document everything. Dates you were gone, flight records, hotel receipts. Build a timeline that proves you weren't there when conception happened, because her lawyer's going to try to poke holes in your story. I can't believe this is happening. Luna's been sketchy for months and you kept making excuses for her. Remember when I told you she was playing you? This is what I meant. He was right, I'd ignored every warning sign, because accepting them meant accepting my marriage was a lie. Easier to blame work stress or wedding planning anxiety than face the truth that my wife was cheating on me and trying to pass off another man's baby as mine. I crashed on Kyle's couch that night. Didn't sleep much. Just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying every suspicious moment from the past year. The late nights she claimed were girls' nights. The sudden interest in her appearance. The way she'd get defensive when I asked simple questions about her day. All the pieces that I'd dismissed individually, but made a damning picture when put together. When I brought up the paternity test to Luna a few days later, she lost her mind completely. We met at a coffee shop because I refused to be alone with her in the house anymore. How dare you? This is your baby. I can't believe you'd even suggest that I would cheat on you. Then take the test. Prove me wrong. It's simple. I'm not putting our baby through unnecessary medical procedures because you're paranoid and crazy. Do you know how offensive this is? You're calling me a liar. I'm asking for proof. That's different. People in the coffee shop were starting to stare. She was getting louder, more theatrical, playing to the audience. You're ruining everything. This baby deserves a father who loves them, not someone who's already questioning their existence before they're even born. Then take the test. She stormed out, leaving me with both coffee checks. I moved into the guest bedroom that night when I went to collect more clothes. The house felt hostile now, like enemy territory. She called my mother immediately after I left. Mom showed up at the house the next morning like she was staging an intervention. Didn't even knock. Just used the key we'd given her for emergencies and barged into the guest room where I was getting ready for work. What is this nonsense Luna told me about you accusing her of cheating and demanding paternity tests? Good morning to you too, Mom. Don't get smart with me. That girl is carrying your grandchild and you're treating her like she's some criminal trying to trap you. I was getting tired of explaining this. Mom, the timing doesn't work. I was in Denver during the conception window. We weren't intimate when I came home that one weekend. Basic biology says this baby isn't mine. Dates can be off. Doctors make mistakes all the time. You're going to destroy your marriage over something so ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, Mom. It's biology. Sperm doesn't wait 3 weeks in another state to magically fertilize an egg. Don't be crude. She looked genuinely offended that I'd used medical terminology. I knew your father's work obsession would rub off on you. Now you're so focused on being right, on your calculations and your timelines, that you can't see you're hurting someone who loves you. If she loves me, she'll take the test and prove I'm wrong. She's refusing because you're being ridiculous. Any woman would be insulted by this accusation. That's when I realized Mom wasn't going to be an ally here. She'd already decided Luna was the victim and I was the villain, and no amount of evidence was going to change that narrative. In her mind, Luna was the sweet daughter-in-law who wanted a baby, and I was the paranoid husband destroying a family over technicalities. Mom, stay out of this. This is between Luna and me. I will not stay out of this. I'm your mother, and I'm telling you right now that you're making the biggest mistake of your life. She left in a huff, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame I filed for legal separation that same week. Moved out completely and got a small apartment across town. 1 bedroom, decent kitchen, close to work. Luna kept the house. I kept paying the mortgage because Ohio law says you can't just stop supporting your spouse during separation, even when that spouse is carrying another man's baby. The baby was born in October, a boy. Luna named him Tyler without consulting me, which should have told me everything I needed to know about her certainty regarding paternity. When the hospital called asking for my signature on the birth certificate, I refused. Told them I was requesting a court-ordered paternity test. The woman on the phone sounded exhausted, like she'd had this conversation 1,000 times. That's when Luna's lawyer got involved. Her attorney filed for child support immediately, claiming I was abandoning my responsibilities as a father. The petition painted me as this cold, calculating engineer who cared more about formulas than family. Said I was using junk science and conspiracy theories to avoid supporting my own child. The preliminary hearing was set for December. I hired an attorney named Gerald who specialized in paternity cases. Guy had seen it all, told me horror stories about men who'd paid for years before discovering the truth. The system's biased, he explained during our first consultation. Courts assume the husband is the father unless proven otherwise. We need to push hard for that DNA test. What I didn't expect was my mother showing up to testify against me. Gerald had warned me that family court could get messy, but I genuinely thought Mom would at least stay neutral. Maybe not actively help me, but definitely not work against me wrong. The hearing happened on a Wednesday morning in mid-December. Cold and gray outside, fluorescent lights humming in the courtroom. Luna sat with her lawyer looking appropriately sympathetic, dressed conservatively, hair pulled back, playing the abandoned single mother role perfectly. I sat with Gerald, wearing my best suit, trying to look like a reasonable person, and not someone who was actively being destroyed by people who were supposed to care about me. The judge was an older woman who'd been on the bench for 20 years, according to Gerald's research. Generally fair, but very protective of children's interests, which made sense but also terrified me. Luna's lawyer went first, painting this picture of a devoted wife who'd put up with my emotional neglect throughout the marriage. Claimed I'd abandoned her during her pregnancy and was now refusing to acknowledge my own son. Your Honor, my client simply wants what's best for her child. The respondent's refusal to even meet the baby shows a pattern of abandonment that started long before the separation. Then they called my mother to testify. She walked in wearing her Sunday best, gave Luna this warm, supportive smile, and completely avoided looking at me, my own mother. The woman who'd raised me, who'd supposedly taught me right from wrong, was about to throw me under the bus. The questioning started simple. How long had she known Luna? What was their relationship like? Did she have concerns about my behavior during the marriage? Then came the dagger. Mrs. Patricia, in your observation, did your son show interest in becoming a father? Mom nodded enthusiastically. Oh yes, he and Luna talked about children all the time. He was excited about starting a family. Technically true, but completely missing the context of me wanting to wait. And when Luna became pregnant, how did he react? He became cold and distant, started questioning her, making accusations. It broke my heart to watch Luna would call me crying, because he was treating her so badly. My jaw actually dropped. Gerald put a hand on my arm to keep me from reacting. Did he ever express doubts about the pregnancy to you? He became obsessed with dates and timelines. I told him doctors make mistakes with those things all the time, but he wouldn't listen. He was so focused on being right that he couldn't see he was destroying his marriage and abandoning his child. Luna's lawyer nodded sympathetically. In your opinion as his mother, do you believe he's the father of Luna's baby? Absolutely, I have no doubt. And I think he knows it too, but he's using this as an excuse to avoid responsibility because fatherhood scares him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own mother was testifying that I was a coward who was abandoning my child out of fear. Not that I had legitimate questions about paternity. Not that the timeline was suspicious. Just that I was scared and using junk science as an excuse. Gerald stood up for cross-examination. He was calm but firm, which I appreciated because I wanted to flip the table. Mrs. Patricia, you're aware that your son was in Denver for 3 weeks during the likely conception window? Mom shrugged. He came home for a weekend. Babies can be conceived anytime. Are you a medical professional qualified to make that assessment? I've had 2 children. I know how pregnancy works. Did Luna ever mention to you any other men she was spending time with during your son's absence? Objection! Luna's lawyer jumped up. Speculation and hearsay. Sustained, the judge said. Gerald tried a few more angles, but Mom had her narrative and wasn't budging. She genuinely believed or had convinced herself that I was the father and was just being difficult. When Gerald requested a court-ordered paternity test, Luna's lawyer objected on grounds that it would be emotionally harmful to force Luna through unnecessary testing when paternity was clearly established by the timeline of the marriage. The judge looked tired. She'd probably heard this exact argument 100 times. Here's my ruling, she said, reviewing her notes. The respondent's timeline concerns are noted. However, Ohio law presumes that a child born during marriage is the legal child of the husband. While I will authorize a DNA test, in the interim, the respondent will pay temporary child support of $1,200 per month until paternity is definitively established. My heart sank. $1,200 a month for a kid that probably wasn't mine, just because I'd happened to be married when he was born. Gerald leaned over. This is standard. We'll get the test done quickly and get you off the hook. But nothing in family court moves quickly. The DNA testing process took 6 weeks to set up. Had to find an approved facility, schedule appointments, deal with Luna's lawyer trying to delay everything. Meanwhile, I was hemorrhaging money on child support, lawyer fees, and maintaining my own apartment. I called Mom after the hearing. Needed to understand what the hell had just happened. Mom, why would you testify against me like that? Her voice was calm, almost condescending. I testified honestly. Luna is family now. That baby is family. You're making a terrible mistake letting your pride destroy your life. What if the test proves he's not mine? He is yours. And even if somehow the dates are off, you're still his father in every way that matters. You're breaking that poor girl's heart over technicalities. Stop calling them technicalities. If he's not biologically mine, that means she cheated. Why are you okay with that? Marriage is hard. People make mistakes. But you don't abandon a child over adult problems. I hung up. There was no reasoning with her. She decided I was wrong and Luna was right, and evidence didn't matter. Kyle kept me sane during those weeks. He'd come over with takeout. We'd play video games, and he'd let me vent without judgment. Your mom's in deep, he said one night while we were playing some shooter game. She's invested so much in defending Luna that admitting she's wrong would mean admitting she screwed up. Some people can't handle that. She literally testified against me in court. I know, man, that's next level, but you're gonna get through this. Test comes back, you're off the hook, and you can move on with your life. Easy for him to say. He wasn't watching $1,200 disappear from his account every month to support another man's kid. The DNA test finally happened in late January. They swabbed my cheek, swabbed the baby, sent everything to the lab. Results would take 2 to 3 weeks. Those were the longest weeks of my life. I threw myself into work, took on extra projects, stayed late. Anything to avoid sitting at home spiraling about the possibility that the test would somehow come back positive and I'd be stuck in this nightmare forever. My boss actually called me into his office to check if I was okay. You're doing great work, but you look exhausted. Everything all right at home? I gave him the abbreviated version. He winced. That's rough. Take care of yourself. The work will be here. Mid-February, Gerald called me at work. Results are in. Get to my office. I left immediately, driving faster than I should have, heart pounding the entire way. Gerald was sitting at his desk when I walked in, and the look on his face told me everything before he said a word. Not yours. 0 probability of paternity. I actually felt dizzy, sat down hard in the chair across from his desk. Months of fighting, thousands of dollars, my own mother turning against me. All because Luna had cheated and gotten pregnant. What now? Now we file to terminate support obligations immediately. We'll also send copies of the results to Luna's lawyer and petition the court for reimbursement of the support you've already paid. Will I actually get that money back? Gerald's expression said it all. Unlikely. Ohio law doesn't really have provisions for that, unless you can prove intentional fraud, which is a high bar. But we'll try. The final hearing was scheduled for March. Gerald filed our motion with the DNA results attached. Sent copies to Luna's lawyer, who went suspiciously quiet. I also sent a copy to my mother. No response. Just dead silence. 3 days before the hearing, I got a text from Mom. We need to talk. Nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Don't be like this. You're my son. I was trying to do what I thought was right. You thought testifying against me was right? Making me pay for another man's kid was right? I didn't know. How could I have known? You could have believed me instead of her. She showed up at my apartment that night. I didn't let her in. We talked through the door like I was dealing with a solicitor. Please, let me explain. I thought I was helping. Luna seemed so sincere I believed her when she said the baby was yours. And when I told you about the timeline, the Denver trip, you just ignored all of that. I thought you were being paranoid. Men get cold feet about fatherhood all the time. I'm not most men, Mom. I'm your son. You should have known I wouldn't lie about something like this. She started crying. I know. I made a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Not right now. Maybe not ever. You stood in court and called me a coward in front of a judge. You testified that I was abandoning my child. Your words almost cost me thousands more in support payments. I'll testify at the next hearing. I'll tell them I was wrong. Don't bother. The DNA speaks for itself. Your testimony isn't needed anymore. I closed the door and walked away while she knocked and cried on the other side. The final hearing was almost anticlimactic. Gerald presented the DNA results. Luna's lawyer made some weak argument about me still being the presumed father under Ohio law, but the judge wasn't having it. The DNA evidence is conclusive. The respondent is not the biological father. All support obligations are terminated immediately. The respondent is also released from any future parental responsibilities. Luna was crying in the courtroom. I felt nothing. Gerald pushed for reimbursement of the 4 months of support I'd paid, nearly $5,000. Your Honor, my client was fraudulently compelled to support a child that wasn't his based on the petitioner's deception. The judge looked at Luna with clear distaste but shook her head. Unfortunately, without evidence of intentional fraud, I can't order reimbursement. The support was paid under a valid court order at the time motion denied. $5,000 down the drain, because I'd married the wrong person. As we were leaving the courtroom, Luna tried to approach me. Gerald stepped between us. My client has nothing to say to you. All future communication goes through attorneys. She tried anyway. I'm sorry I made a mistake. Can we please just talk? I looked at her, really looked at her, probably for the first time in months. Saw the person who destroyed my trust, cost me thousands of dollars, turned my own mother against me and put me through months of hell. No, that was it. Just no. Gerald walked me out while she stood there crying. In the parking lot, I saw my mother waiting by her car. She approached cautiously, like I was a wild animal that might bolt. Can we please talk? Really talk? What's there to say, Mom? You picked her over me. You testified against your own son to support a woman who was lying to everyone. I was wrong. I admit it. I should have believed you. But please, you're my son. I can't lose you over this. You didn't lose me over this. You lost me when you stood in that courtroom and called me a coward. Her face crumpled. I'll do anything to make this right. Please, tell me what I need to do. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to just say forget it and walk away forever, but she was my mom. Flawed, yes. Manipulated by Luna, definitely. But still my mom. Space. I need space. And time. You destroyed my trust. That doesn't get fixed with an apology? How much time? As much as I need. Don't call me. Don't show up at my apartment. When I'm ready to talk, I'll reach out. But what if you never? Then you'll know how I felt when you sided with her. I got in my car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing there in the parking lot, looking small and lost. The divorce was finalized by May. Luna got the house and the settlement, but I was released from the mortgage since paternity fraud had been proven. She'd have to refinance it herself or sell it. Not my problem anymore. Turned out the father was a guy from her dental office, a supply sales rep who'd apparently been in the picture the whole time. He wanted nothing to do with the baby, which meant Luna was now a genuinely single mother, dealing with all the consequences of her choices. I didn't feel bad for her. Not even a little bit. Kyle and I celebrated the finalized divorce by taking a weekend trip to Chicago. Went to a Cubs game, hit up some deep dish pizza places, just decompressed after months of legal hell. How you feeling? He asked while we were walking along the lakefront. Free, exhausted, angry, but mostly free. What about your mom? Still not ready? Maybe someday, but not now. Work became my focus. Took on a major hospital project that would keep me busy for the next year. Threw myself into the calculations, the site visits, the contractor meetings. Something about seeing a building go from blueprints to reality was deeply satisfying. Problems with clear solutions. Structures that either stood or fell based on math and physics, not emotions and lies. My boss pulled me aside after a particularly successful inspection. You've really stepped up this year. We're thinking about promoting you to senior engineer. The promotion came with a significant raise and more responsibility. Gerald had cost me about $8,000 in legal fees, plus the $5,000 in child support I'd never get back, but the raise would recoup that in about 8 months. Small victories. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I finally called my mother. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop halfway between our places. She looked older, like the stress of everything had aged her. She ordered tea and sat across from me with her hands folded, not meeting my eyes. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Don't thank me yet. I'm not sure where this goes. I understand. I need you to know how sorry I am I believed her lies. I enabled her. I testified against my own son. There's no excuse for any of that. No, there isn't. I've replayed that hearing in my mind 1,000 times. The things I said about you, how I made you look like some kind of deadbeat when you were just trying to protect yourself. I was so wrong. Why? I asked. Why did you believe her over me? Mom was quiet for a long time. I wanted grandchildren. I know that sounds shallow, but it's true. When she told me she was pregnant, I saw this whole future. Holidays with a grandbaby, family photos, all of it. And when you questioned it, it felt like you were trying to take that away from me. So you chose your fantasy over your son's reality? Yes, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. We sat in silence for a while. Other customers came and went. The barista made drinks. Life continued around us while we dealt with our mess. I'm not ready to just forgive and move on, I said finally. You hurt me in a way I didn't think was possible. My own mother standing in court, calling me a coward, that's going to take time to get past. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. I just want a chance to eventually earn it back. Okay, here's what I need. No more pushing. No more showing up unannounced. No more pressure about forgiveness or reconciliation. We can talk occasionally, but on my terms and my timeline. And if I say I need more space, you respect that. She nodded quickly. Anything. Whatever you need. And you need to understand something. The mother who I trusted, who I thought would always have my back, she died in that courtroom. The relationship we had before is gone. If we rebuild something, it'll be different. Maybe not as close. Probably not. But it's all I can offer right now. Tears streamed down her face. I understand. And I accept that. Thank you for even giving me this chance. We finished our coffee in awkward silence. When we left, she tried to hug me. I let her, but it felt mechanical. No warmth, no connection. Just going through the motions because it seemed expected. Over the next year, we talked maybe once a month. Brief conversations about surface-level things. She'd ask about work. I'd ask about her catering business. We avoided anything deeper. She sent me a card on my birthday with a long handwritten note apologizing again. I appreciated the gesture but didn't respond right away. The holidays were weird. She invited me to Thanksgiving. I declined. Christmas too. Maybe next year, I told her. She didn't push, which I appreciated. Work continued to be my anchor. The hospital project finished on time and under budget. Got recognized at the firm's annual meeting. Started mentoring junior engineers, which I actually enjoyed. Teaching them how to spot structural issues, how to work with contractors, how to stand by your calculations even when someone wants you to cut corners. Kyle met someone serious. Got engaged. Asked me to be his best man, which felt good. Having someone trust me with something important after feeling like the world's biggest failure in the relationship department. At his bachelor party, one of his other friends asked about my divorce. I gave him the summary version. His response, "Damn, dude, that's rough. But at least you're not stuck paying for some other guy's kid." Small victories, I said. Now it's been almost 2 years since the divorce. Mom and I have rebuilt something resembling a relationship. But it's not what it was. Probably never will be. We have lunch every couple months. She doesn't ask invasive questions. I don't bring up the hearing unless she does, which she never does. She's careful around me now. Like she's afraid of saying the wrong thing and losing me again. It's sad, but it's the reality of what her choices created. I ran into Luna once, at a grocery store of all places. She was pushing a cart with Tyler in the seat, looking exhausted and defeated. She tried to approach me. "Hey, how are you?" "Fine." She wanted more conversation. I didn't. "Look, I know I messed up. I was young and stupid and—" "Stop, I don't need your apology or your explanation. You made your choices. I've moved on. He asks about you sometimes. Tyler, he sees pictures and—" "Don't. He's not my son. He never was. You made sure of that." I walked away while she stood there holding her groceries, looking lost. The truth is, I don't hate Luna anymore. I don't really feel anything about her at all. She's just someone I used to know who made terrible decisions that temporarily derailed my life. She's dealing with her consequences. I'm dealing with mine. As for Mom, we're in this weird limbo of polite distance. She's desperate to get back what we had. But that's not possible. You can't unring that bell. You can't stand in court and destroy your own child's credibility, then expect everything to go back to normal after a few apologies. But we're talking. It's something. Maybe in another 5 years it'll be more, maybe not. Time will tell.